Today we're going to look at Labyrinth, War on Terror, card by card. We hope you'll join us in exploring this amazing game. This is Legendary Tactics.
All right, so we have Ghurayb, photos of U.S. military prison abuses.
Yes. And play if any cells are in a regime change country. I hate this card as the U.S. This is just one of those cards that you really don't. You hate to get it in your hand. You try and get out of a regime change so you avoid having to trigger this event. It's brutal.
Yes.
It is.
Well,
brutal.
this is a card that you're using oil spite to get back if you can.
Yes.
You want this card. It's so great. Question for you: is this a card you would actually hold in hand to discard at the end of a turn?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, if I'm in a regime change, absolutely. There's no way I can let you have that event. It would have to be a pretty bad alternate scenario for me to have to play this
alternate reality
myself, because I give you two cards. So if I hold on to it till the end, I give you two cards to play, and then I lose prestige, and then I lose an ally. So
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's probably one of the premier cards of the three bangers for sure.
So this is like why you don't want to be in a regime change in this game in general.
Yeah, in general. Get in and get out, as the U.S.
All right, Al Jazeera.
All right. Arab TV spins extremism.
So play if Saudi Arabia or an adjacent country has troops and shift the country one box towards adversary. This
is actually a pretty good card.
It is a very good card if the Jihadist player gets it at the right time, say earlier in the game, because if Saudi Arabia starts out neutral, then it can shift it towards adversary, and then it's really hard to get it back. And it's a 3 strength or like 3 resource level country, so it's
country. Yeah,
it's typically part of the victory conditions of the it usually helps the U.S. achieve their victory conditions because it's so valuable. But your other choice is Iraq, really. So this is.
Yeah, I find it's very hard. It's very hard to have the troops adjacent to, though. To get the condition is tough sometimes.
Yes, and as a U.S. player, you generally, if you get this card in hand, typically I move the troops from Saudi Arabia that start the game in Let's Roll. I move them to Pakistan as soon as I can get that country to ally. But it's the troops in Gulf states that are an issue. So you need to get them out of there, typically to a different allied country. Or something, so then you can safely trigger this card. So you can work around it as the U.S. It's inconvenient, but you can definitely work around it, and it's definitely worth working around. It's just if the Jihadist player plays it on you, then it's punishing. Yeah,
that's right. If it can be sprung, then it's very good. Yeah. I could see it being easy to mitigate, though, on the U.S. hand.
Yes. Yeah. Axis
of allies.
Axis and allies. No, it's Axis of evil. U.S. likens Iran, Iraq, and North Korea. And so U.S. discards any Iran, Hezbollah, or Jaish al-Mahdi cards from hand. U.S. posture to hard, then roll prestige.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never played this for the event that often.
Yeah,
I think it's very situational.
Yes. It's a very good card if you're playing the "you can call me Al" scenario, where the U.S. starts out soft on terror, and especially if they've been working to get the world on their side. So the global war on terror, feeling is more towards being soft on terror. Then this can be punishing because you can flip the, posture to hard, and usually if you roll prestige, it's going to drop. Usually. Yeah,
but you know what though? That's exactly what I was going to talk about. I don't like a 3-banger card that gives me a chance to actually not benefit.
Yes.
And so the potential of losing or the U.S. gaining prestige would be very frustrating.
Yes, and that's the it is one of those cards that as the U.S. if I'm in a bad position, like if I'm soft on terror and the world has moved against me, then I'll happily play this card.
Yeah, this card is not necessarily a bad play for the U.S. in the right conditions either. So
because in the right conditions, you play it, you flip to hard, you roll the prestige, maybe you get a prestige bump, and you get 3 ops. So
yeah, and quite frankly, I never look at the U.S. can discard these cards. I think that those situations are so rare.
Yeah,
it's not even worth bothering with that first part of the first part of the event. So
yeah, not really. Yeah,
I mean, if it happens, great, but it's a complete I don't bank on that at all.
Yes, you want to flip the posture to something that's advantageous to you, and you hope to trash my prestige in the process, basically.
Exactly, that's the big get.
But is that worth 3 ops?
Yeah. See, I wonder. That's why I haven't played it for the event that often. I use the ops.
Yeah, for sure. Clean Operatives.
Train jihadists without known terrorism nexus.
So
boy,
this is actually, it's interesting. There's a Canadian passport, as we're Canadian. Picture of a Canadian
yes,
passport.
there it is. Look at that.
but this potentially is a game-winning card. Because,
could be. Oh, right.
Yeah. If you
drop them into the U.S. and then
martyrdom operation, and if you have the WMDs, you can. This is a game-winning card, in the right circumstance.
So this is you're right. You're right. Yeah.
And really, it's absolutely worth the 3 ops to be able to travel 2 cells anywhere, to get in. And mainly, you're going to go to the U.S. I can't see you going to France or,
No, you're not going to any of the Schengen countries.
Central Asia.
Really.
No. I suppose. Although, you know what? If you had one of those cards which allow you to acquire, a WMD, then you might move a cell to Russia or to Central Asia and then play the cards that allow. So if your guys are all out of position, it's a way for you to potentially reorder.
Well, actually, I'm just putting a scenario here. If say you have this oil spike and martyrdom.
Yeah.
Right. Drop this. Get your WMD.
Yes.
Drop oil spike, pick this back up.
Yes. Yeah.
And then double whammy them for the win.
Yeah. Yeah. You could. Yeah, it's absolutely doable. So
there is scenarios where you could actually, really spin it nicely.
Yeah.
Even if you didn't have a WMD.
Yeah. And I mean, especially if you save it towards later in the turn, if you have good funding and you have a card advantage on the US, then you can absolutely hammer the US. They're going to have to play so conservatively if that's the case. Because, man, and it may not be anything they can do. So
that's right. Yeah.
So very strong card.
FATA.
And I hate this again as the U.S.
Yes, you do hate this event.
So irritating. Because it makes...
In an earlier video, I recall making a mental note of this card.
Yes.
that I will always now play it against you.
Yes. Well, it's just challenging because there's no disrupt operations there unless there's a regime change. So it blocks the U.S. bin Laden and Zawahiri, and you only have 1 card in the entire deck that removes it. So you got this Pakistani offensive, which is a 3-op card that the U.S. has to give up in order to cancel this. And
cancel FATA,
the cell in Pakistan is neither here nor there, but you can't disrupt. So you have to use either the Predator card, or you have to use Special Forces
card event
in order to
regime change. Right?
So it really opens Pakistan for the for
WMDs and Islamist rule.
Yes, well, that's just it. Yeah, so an opportunistic jihadist player can play this and really lock down Pakistan until it essentially becomes as the U.S. you can deploy there, so you can keep piling in troops, but you can't actually stop the cells from piling in.
Do you think it's the premier 3-banger card?
Probably. It's a tough call. I mean, it at the end of the day, if the jihadist player gets WMDs, it's not the end of the game yet. It definitely sets up a risky kind of situation, but it's not the end of the world. But it's just a very annoying event, especially because you've got 1 card out of 120 that actually cancels it. So it's a pain in the butt.
Your odds aren't good.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So it's not game winning like Clean Operatives, but it's a strong event, and it's very annoying and frustrating as a US player to deal with that. So Have you ever played that one? Well, you played that for the event, I'm sure.
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I can recall a few games playing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll be playing it a lot more moving forward after this great series.
Yes, exactly. But the fact that it blocks the U.S. bin Laden and Zawahiri, that's even, adding more salt to the wound. So.
Yeah.
Foreign fighters.
Which brings me to a card I really like.
Yes.
I love this card.
Yes.
I just think getting in, because you could completely turn the fortunes of a regime change around with this card.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
You can just create utter havoc. So I love it. And you get all kinds of cells on the board.
Yes.
Anytime you can get more cells than the card's worth on a board, I think and you get extra bonuses. Oh.
Yeah. It would have to be a pretty
great.
extreme situation for you not to take this event.
Well, yeah. I mean, the only time is if the card event was all in play. Yeah, like if the prerequisites were there, you're taking this event.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you know what? A situation maybe where you don't have 5 cells.
Yes, that's true. Yes, you need to have them on the track. So.
Yeah. If you already had cells dispersed everywhere, and they're scattered out, then it's almost worth actually going and doing like plots and jihads other places to try and get them back off the board so you can get them back on the board.
Yeah. No, that's you could actually plan out your turn doing that. I could totally see that.
Just looking to try and get cells off the board. So it's
Yeah, I could totally see that. And as a U.S. player, that's the time you can mitigate it. Either there's no regime change, or all the cells are already on the board. So the worst case scenario, you maybe remove an aid or place a besieged regime, but that's the worst it's going to do. So yeah. But if you got all 15 cells on the board, you're dealing with other problems anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
Jihadist videos. Now, I'm curious as to what you think about this event.
I have used it before. It's a great way to get some cells on the board quickly.
Yeah.
You're probably looking at least getting 1 or 2 on the board, and you're testing different. I think often you give me this event is where I've probably been using it, because I wouldn't necessarily play it.
Yeah, again, it's not the end of the world for the US player, and the 3 ops cards are typically hard to come by. It does, if it does allow the Jihadist player to get cells on the board despite bad funding. And they do get...
Yes, that's where I've used it.
Yeah, and they do get a cadre in each country, so they can continue to recruit in those countries even if they don't get a cell. But again, if all the cells are already on the board, or what have you, then hey, so you get a cadre in each country. Yeah, I can live with that. It's not, I mean, especially with a 3-op event, it's not the worst event.
No, I think that where this card can really shine is if you can combo it with another card event that requires a cell to be in a certain country.
Yeah.
Or that kind of thing where you or a country needs to have been tested.
Yes.
So that's where this card can really kind of its strength can kind of show up.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing, as well as a U.S. player, sometimes it's not a bad idea to scatter the cells around. So, because then it takes time and ops for the jihadists to gather up. So. It's not a necessarily terrible event from that perspective, but it's not great. I mean, none of the 3 ops jihadist events are going to be great for the U.S., but this is one I can live with.
Yeah, and you have given it to me before. Yeah.
Kashmir.
Kashmir is one I don't think you've given to me very often.
No, mainly because shifting Pakistan 1 box towards adversary and placing a
and
cell
giving
there,
me a cell too, right?
I'm not too bothered by the blocked Indo-Pakistani talks, but it's more just having to get Pakistan back to ally, and I certainly wouldn't want to give it to you if Pakistan was neutral. So this can be a card, if it gets in a jihadist player's opening hand, can be actually pretty devastating if the U.S. can't get Pakistan to ally in time.
Because it starts at fair, doesn't it?
Well, no, it starts at fair neutral, I believe, in the let's roll scenario. So you have to get it to ally before you can get any troops in there to defend the WMDs. But if the Jihadist player gets this in their opening hand, this is a very strong play to play that, get Pakistan at adversary, and then it's going to be tough for that to be
tough
fixed.
slogging.
Like the Musharraf card will repair that damage, and also some other cards that allow shifting an adversary to neutral, but it's a pain.
So as US, would you play the Indo-Pakistani talks to block Kashmir?
No. You can't block. This card blocks Indo-Pakistani talks. So if you have the Indo-Pakistani talks and you want to play it, then you can't if Kashmir is in. Or sorry, this is blocked.
No.
Oh, would I play that?
It's blocked by.
Sorry, yes, you're right. I don't know. It's not specifically. I mean, Indo-Pakistani talks is a kind of a weaker event, but yeah, it does help, I guess.
Because I don't think I've seen you play it to block Kashmir before.
Not specifically. Because this is something that it could potentially be held by the U.S. and discarded, or even if Pakistan's an ally, it's not the end of the world. Like you could, if you have favorable die rolls, you can play the card, take the event, and then use the 3 ops to do a war of ideas and shift it right back to ally again. And it basically then just means that you've placed a cell in Pakistan. That's the only effect as a net thing. So it's it's a wasted turn, but it's not the end of the world. So
Leak.
Yes.
So this card, I don't think I've ever played this for the event. Even though now reading it and thinking about it, if you're along that track of the enhanced measures and the renditions and wiretapping, and you're kind of rolling in that in those bonuses,
yes,
this could be a very good and important card to play.
Oh, Leak, I think, is one of the most intriguing mechanics of the game, actually, because the U.S. player can play enhanced measures, renditions, wiretapping. They can act poorly, and it can give them some bonuses, and they can, benefit from that. However, if the Leak card, and when the Leak card comes out, then basically the marker will be, the event is blocked for the rest of the game, and you have to suffer a posture and prestige roll, which it's one of those risks that in certain times rolling posture may actually be a good thing. Rolling prestige may actually benefit you, but you don't know. It's a real wild card, and that's why I love the mechanic.
It is a real wild card.
Because really it's saying basically if you're doing wiretapping, there's no guarantees as to how the public's going to feel about that. They may actually feel it's justified. It may actually make them feel safer, or it may actually feel that they're upset and they're yelling at the government, and it causes
government is
some
spying,
loss of
right?
prestige,
so.
and the posture shifts towards terror as a result.
An ally to neutral as well. So that's another.
Yeah, that's an effect I can live with, but the whole event is very ambiguous. But I love the mechanic. I just feel it's such a smart way to play it. Instead of just a Leak being like necessarily bad, it may actually, even though the wiretapping gets blocked for the rest of the game, for example, if you get some prestige out of it, and it fixes your posture, okay, so an ally goes to neutral, but you can fix that. It could potentially. I love the ambiguous nature of that. I think it's really a smart design.
Right, and that's one reason as the Jihadis I don't want to play this card as an event.
Yes. Yeah.
There's too much potential positive for the U.S.
Yes, yeah. Although
if I'm not interested in that. I'd rather use my 3 ops.
Yes, that's probably true, actually. Now, that said, if you...
if I could block one of those 3 events, though, that were in play and that you were utilizing to fair advantage, then it becomes more intriguing to me.
Yes. Yeah. But, it depends. Like, if the U.S. has... the world on its side and prestige is high, it might be worth the gamble to just see if you can throw a wrench in the U.S. plans. But again, I love that ambiguous nature of it. It's just it's part of the decision making. It's not an obviously bad event, which is kind of neat.
That's right. Yeah.
And the last one for today.
So card number 10 is Lebanon War.
Yeah, Israeli Hezbollah flare up. Again, I hate this card as the U.S.
I love this card. I love this event. I just love it because it completely disrupts your plans, and I love playing it like mid to earlier stages of the late round.
Yes.
So you're just as you're building up to your coup de grace.
Yes.
I drop this on you.
Yeah, it is annoying.
And it's pretty much the random discard, and dropping a cell somewhere too. I can set myself up for some damage, and the prestige loss also is kind of good, especially if you're in a regime change and you're counting on some prestige.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Again, this is kind of an ambiguous one. Like if U.S. discards a random card and it happens to be, I don't know, Kashmir or foreign fighters, sure, I'm not going to be actually that upset. Yeah, I'll lose a prestige. That's a fair trade for having to put up with a foreign fighters or Kashmir card.
That's right.
You know,
if you do have a mitt full of jihadi events, then yeah, you're right. It's not the worst thing.
Yeah, I'm placing a cell in a Shia mixed country. Now, again, it can be very, it can be very bad of it.
Disruptive.
If you lose a very good U.S. event, and it really can. Or a 3-ups card or something you were planning on using, yes, it can be extremely disruptive. But it's a bit ambiguous too. Like it's, as I said, like it may actually benefit the U.S. in a weird way. But it does leave the U.S. a card short. So certainly if you are in a war status and you only have 7 cards, and then this is played, and now you only have 6 cards, it can give the jihadist player like a 3-card advantage, which is huge.
Yes, agreed. Yes.
Good or bad, whether it was a bad jihadist event that got discarded or not. That's tough. That's tough to come back on that. So
if you enjoyed these 10 cards of the walkthrough, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for our continuing series of the cards of Labyrinth War on Terror.
Thanks for watching.